is where we realize how much stuff we actually covered in a year, right? Holy geez. Thank you for mentioning this, Ben, because like this year was bonkers. Like this is by far our best year when it came to the Angel Tree Drive. So for those of you who aren't familiar, the Salvation Army, we put a little tree on our counter and there's like a tag that says 8-year-old girl, 5-year-old boy, and you take that tag and you go out shopping for whoever that person you picked was. So if it was a 5-year-old girl, you go out and you buy, Barbie or something. Well, you know what? This year was like killer. Like we have the best patients, and I say this all the time. It was amazing. I say this story about 3 years ago or 4 years ago. The people that they always pick up the toys, they set a date and they come in and they pick them up. The person that was picking them up started crying when he walked into our clinic. And the reason he was crying is because the three previous businesses that he had been in, there wasn't any toys. Like there was like one or two. And, in his mind, that was like the worst day because, these people that do this like thrive on doing this. And when he got into our clinic and he saw the lineup of toys that we had, like you could tell that it just brought joy to his face that he was going to be able to make all these kids happy. So I just want to say that this year was our best year ever. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that, added stress to their routine before Christmas to have to go buy another gift to help these kids out. So thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. And, again, yes, I want to just reiterate what Dr. Roach said. It just goes the type and quality of patients and type of people that we have in our practice. And this is the type of community that we want to create, is a community that helps and supports others, and doing a small thing like, picking out a toy and bringing it to our office goes a long way for people at this time of year. And so thank you guys so much. You're going to make a child very happy this year.
Amazing. Thank you. So 2021 recap. So we had this episode that we talked about various different headaches. So this is a very prevalent topic. I would say this is probably condition number 3 in terms of ranking of what we see in our clinic: back pain, neck pain, headaches. And we talked about, ways to help headaches.
Yeah. And that was, one of our big hump day conversations was around, okay, well, we talked about the causes of headaches. In one episode, we talked about the types of headaches, and then we want to give people 5 different ways that they could help with headaches. And just to review, magnesium. Can we just talk about for a minute? We talk about magnesium all the time, and because this is a year in review, magnesium is a very special supplement. Very special for a lot of people. Most people with chronic pain, back pain, neck pain, headaches are lacking magnesium. And we find the supplements that we carry at our practice work very well in terms of treating this type of condition, or at least helping with some of the symptoms and reducing that nervous system activation. So muscle relaxation and sleep, 2 of the things that you need in order to overcome headaches in some cases. So never underestimate the power of a very good high quality magnesium supplement.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're just not talking about headaches. Like it's a natural muscle relaxer. So it's like huge with various different things. Like a lot of people, some of my patients use it for restless leg, right? They can't fall asleep because their legs like jumping out of bed. It's fantastic. So it's one of the supplements that the beautiful thing is there's no side effects. Like the only thing is if you take too much, you're going to start getting loose bowels. But other than that, like it's very safe, which is the beauty of magnesium and so much of an upside.
Absolutely. Other ways too, food triggers. Watch out for some of those foods that are high in MSG and high in salts. Not great for headaches. Make sure you're staying well hydrated. We can't stress enough how important drinking a healthy amount of water is in terms of not just headaches, but many other parts of the way that you're feeling and the nervous system function. As well as smell triggers. So avoiding some of those really strong smells. We talk a lot about chemical stress and chemical irritants that have an impact on your nervous system. So you want to lower that fatigue as much as possible.
Yeah, and get adjusted. right? Like that's one thing that, chiropractic is phenomenal at is headaches. Because most of the time it is going to be a cervicogenic headache. So basically you're getting tension from the neck being dysfunctional. So getting chiropractic care, I mean, I've had so many people just, leave an appointment and say, man, my headache is gone, right? Because you're just decompressing that pressure at the back of the neck that typically will kind of radiate, and you'll get the frontal eye sword that you get in the back of your eye. So, spare yourself the grief of dealing with headaches. And there's no amount of normal headaches. I ask that all the time. What's a normal amount of headaches? And they say, oh, 1 or 2 a week. I'm like, no, 0, right? So there is no normal amount of headaches. So if you're getting them, get checked. Our number
So
one hump day. By numbers, this was our number one hump day.
yeah, and this was a great hump day conversation because you guys, the viewers, you brought this conversation up. You were the ones that said, we want to hear about what we can do at home, what kind of pillows, what kind of mattresses do we need in order to help us, fight off some of the things that we're going through. And the way that we look at pillows as chiropractors, by the way, is that it helps to keep your adjustment. It helps to maintain that structure. And so you want to find a pillow that's going to help maintain the adjustments that we're doing here in practice. So oftentimes what they recommend in the literature is a medium firm pillow. And in this segment here, we called it the love it or dump it. So we went through all the different pillows and we talked about why we liked it, the pros and cons, and we either loved it or we dumped it.
Yeah. And, as chiropractors, we look at the pillow in terms of where does it, what does the head and neck look like in reference to the rest of the spine, right? So when you're laying on your side, is your head higher than your spine? Like the goal is to have everything be horizontal, parallel to the floor. And then there's different pillows if you're a back sleeper versus a side sleeper. I know one thing we mentioned with mattress, and that's one thing that I always tell people: don't get caught up with the whole pillow top thing. If you got a 4-inch pillow top, by the time you're through that 4-inch pillow top, even though your mattress might be medium or firm, it seems like you're in a soft mattress because you're sinking in to that pillow top. So I'm not a big fan of those pillow tops. Don't get caught up in the whole memory foam thing. They're very warm sometimes. So, do your research. The good thing is now you can buy a mattress and you're not stuck with it. You can return it. I think most of the companies allow you to return it twice. So yeah, a good night's sleep is important. And if you're not comfortable, you're waking up in pain, chances are good it's what you were laying on the previous 7 or 8 hours, and that's probably your mattress or your pillow.
Yeah, absolutely. And a good way to think about a mattress and a pillow is almost like it's like an orthotic, and I don't like to say that, but an orthotic for the cervical spine. You don't want
Yeah.
to start with something that's too deep of a pillow, right? If you're talking about a wave pillow, you want to start with something that might be a little bit lower of a curve. That way you're not trying to put your spine into a position it's not ready for.
Yeah. This next thing, the saying goes, it's all connected, right? We're all connected. And, we talked about what was called the kinetic chain. And the kinetic chain is basically just the order of the joints as they're all forced into movement as soon as we strike our foot on the ground. As soon as we strike our foot on the ground reacting forces go through our body. And if there's any part of that kinetic chain that's off, it's going to create stress in the area above or below. So we actually brought in this whole concept on a few different presentations in how we could create knee problems, hip problems, and how when things falter at the base, they falter at the roof, right? And they falter, it's kind of like a house, right? If the foundation is crooked, then the rest of the house is going to have issues. And I mean, I can't tell you how many times I go through this when I go through a report with a patient on how everything is connected. We say it, and we even lay people will say, yeah, we're all connected. The hip is connected to the knee, and yes, but to be able to put it into words when somebody comes in with a problem and seeing how a lower back problem could be connected to why they have headaches, or how an ankle sprain they had when they were a kid could be showing up in their opposite hip now, right? So this is a very important concept that we kind of brought on to our patients that actually kind of stuck, because some of my patients are actually using the word kinetic chain, right? Oh yeah, that's right. You talked about the kinetic chain, when they were coming in with knee problems. So it's beautiful to see that we had kind of, added a little bit of vocabulary into their life.
Absolutely. Yeah, and like we said, we spoke about the kinetic chain many, many, many times before when we talked about our knee osteoarthritis, knee pain segment, our hip osteoarthritis segment, or our hip pain segment, our shoulder issues when we talked about our rotator cuff issues and how they may connect to the neck as well, and cervical spine, positioning, plantar fasciitis is another conversation that we had as well, and many, many, many more. We talked about rheumatoid arthritis, ankylosing spondylitis, inflammatory arthritides, and inflammatory conditions like MS and Parkinson's. And these all play a role in the kinetic chain and how the nervous system can have impact on not just the structures that it's around, but structures that are away from it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I love this. I love this concept because you can bring in the concept of kinetic chain in almost any problem. And the last 2 years, 2020, 2021, even 2000 parts, and yeah. Anyway, it became the work from home model, lifestyle, and boy, I tell you, many people that wanted to work from home so bad, and their employer didn't want them to work from home, finally got to do it. And as many of you know, if you're honest, there were some issues with working from home, right? And you realize how important ergonomics were to a healthy spine. Many of you guys came in after 2 weeks of being at home. God, my neck is killing me, and you're grabbing your traps, and you're getting the headaches. And so we kind of hit it off with this Hump Day presentation because it was so prevalent, and still is, because a lot more of you are working from home.
Absolutely. And so some of the advice that we gave that day to name were, place the monitor at arm lengths away, not too close, not too far, wrist straight and hands at or below the elbows, right? So never above, so that you're not flexing your wrist too much, leading to carpal tunnel, right? Adjust the hair height.
Hair height.
Chair height. So knees are at level with
what's in that glass, Ben? It's not just water, buddy.
Hey, don't forget to stand and move every 30 minutes. So, one position, right? They're finding, there's not one position that's completely terrible for the spine, but they say that if you move around, it's probably going to be best. So always changing positions is the best kind of position for the spine. It loves movement, and it loves different positions. And so you should always get used to that. Something that I learned today on the radio, for those of you who work from home, for $12.99, you can purchase some type of device that moves your mouse every 12 minutes.
Why would you want that?
Well, because some of the work monitoring systems when you work from home are that your mouse moves every so often. It should move every so often if you're working, right? So there's a device that you can buy for $12.99 that'll move the mouse for you. Now,
nice.
Didn't hear it here first, but
you didn't hear it? Yeah.
Just letting you guys know. Not one position. There's not one perfect position for the spine. The best position is to keep yourself moving. And so you should get up, walk around, or at least shift positions every 30 or so minutes.
Oh, so your mouse becomes like the robot vacuum, right? It just takes off on you. I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So one of the things that I think I touched base on that Hump Day was that the eye should be about 2/3 of the way up on the monitor, right? So 2/3 of the way up. That's usually a good height. If you guys ever come into the office, which most of you are, you can take a look at the sit-stand desks that we have in the office. So they were cheap, but they were like $130. I think we bought these at Costco. So you can find them in many other retailers, but they're very simple. There's like a little switch or handle on the side that you can kind of bring it up and down. And that was a great, cost-effective, economical way of, making changes so that the ergonomics are better. So it doesn't have to break the bank. All right.
So we talked a lot about low back pain, sciatica, right? These types of issues, chronic low back pain. We talked a lot about arthritis in the low back, and alignment is something that we talk about all the time as well. So we look at the lumbar lordosis here, and we talk about, well, if you're under chronic stress in your spine, you're going to start to lose the curves in the low back. And so for us, alignment crucially important. As the chiropractor, we look to reestablish that alignment the best that we can. And that way we can take as much pressure off the nervous system as possible and allow the body to heal to the best of its ability.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we talk about structure, most of the time we're talking about the curves and the essential curves that we have in the spine, in the lower back, in the mid back, and the neck, and how structural care helps bring back some of those curves so that structure is more optimal. And when structure is more optimal, function is more optimal. There's like a saying that goes that structure dictates function. So when structure is falling apart, then your function is going to be falling apart as well. So the lower back alignment is crucially important, and it starts off at the pelvis, which kind of sets the stage for proper musculature, decrease inflammation, nerve health. And many many people today. I had a guy who said, "I've got a problem with the suicidal nerve," and it was referring to the sciatic nerve. And he says, "Man," he says, "it's killing me." So I actually went through this whole process of explaining how the structure in the lower back is important, and the holes on the side of the nerves, and how the roots come out of there, and if they're compressed, then you're going to have pain going down the leg. And so what you guys learned there, you have to realize that now, having followed us to these Hump Day conversation, more than 90% of the people out there, right? So that's great, and give yourself a little pat on the shoulder, because we covered a lot of stuff. So one thing I want to do now, I just want to take a little quick break, and I want you guys, for those of you who are live tonight, and if you're listening to it tomorrow morning, just take a few seconds to write in the comments section what you love the most of our Hump Day conversations. Okay. And that's going to help us, because, as we look into the new year, whether or not we're going to make changes to Hump Day conversation or how we're going to make these, I think it's important for us to understand what you guys liked from Hump Day conversation. Why were you guys live every night? Why did you tune in to YouTube the next day? Like, what excited you about Hump Day conversation? If you can write that comment, kind of like a testimonial about what you like the most about Hump Day conversation, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's great. I would love to hear back from people. So this year, we started doing something a little bit later in the Hump Day season, where we started to actually introduce guests, and this is something that we want to continue doing going forward as well. And they were great. I thought all of our guests this year brought something individual, something different to the channel, and we learned a lot,
Yeah.
as you guys
Yeah.
were learning about these types of topics. I mean, having Dr. Brian Raid on the show, I know that was a very popular Hump Day conversation. Of course, our first guest on the show, John Constas from Orthomolecular Products,
Yeah.
and Emily Conroy, pedorthist from Comfort Orthotics in Bedford, right? So
Yeah.
in our community, and Dr. Scott Wadier from
Yeah.
the Fasting for Life podcast. So a lot of really great guests on the show.
Yeah. And I mean, all these people, like, what we're going to try to do, and we'll kind of promote a little bit next year, is we're going to try to do a lot more guest appearances. And what we want to do is reach out to leaders in the field, experts in their field. Like Dr. Brian Raid is an expert when it comes to naturopathy, right? And then we want to hit the experts in each field. And what we may do is we may expand outside the health care industry a little bit, and kind of, we might talk to, a financial planning guy, or we might, we're kind of open to shifting a little bit in the new year. But we definitely want to lean on the experts, because obviously, Dr. Ben and I are great at what we do in terms of chiropractic care, and we have a certain knowledge set. But the minute you start to think that you know everything, then you start to fall apart, right? So we want to make sure that we leverage people that are out there that can share amazing stuff, like all these people did, and everybody benefits. Like Ben said, like, we learned tons from these people, and we would meet up the next morning and say, wow, did you know that? And we would touch base the next day and talk about what was said, and it was great for us. So we hope that you feel the same way when it comes to these experts that we brought on.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think that it shows us just a lot more about how we can leverage our friends in the profession to allow for better health for you guys, for the people that are on the show, and how we can open the doors and introduce people to new and healthier ways to take care of their bodies.
Yep.
And so not only about the importance of self-care, but also about the importance of taking advantage of some of these healthcare providers and what they can do for you.
Yep.
And so I thought this year was huge, hugely important, and the guest appearances are something that we want to keep up.
Yep. Energy.
Energy. Yeah, I thought the energy conversation was great as well for a way to boost people's morale, energy levels. How can we make the nervous system function better for you instead of working against you? Especially when we were seeing a lot less sunlight this year. So we wanted to find ways. Okay, well, how can I naturally boost my energy? And so
That's a good slide. It's kind of it's a telling slide because we talked about vitamin D, right? And vitamin D is super important nowadays. I got to talk about this. Like today, I had a conflicting conversation with a patient who is doing fantastic since I put him on a certain amount of vitamin D. And the doctor was like, "Oh my gosh, you can't take that much vitamin D. You got to bring it down." And the information that she provided, the reasoning why, is just, I'm sorry, but it's wrong, and it's too bad because the patient feels like, he's now in a position of conflict where he feels like he's got to, go towards what the medical doctor said, but he knows that it's helping him. He knows I'm probably right, but he doesn't want to, upset the medical doctor. So, he's going to get tested, and you can test for vitamin D levels, which will confirm what I know is right. But, again, sometimes you got to be careful of the information you get, and that sometimes people go outside their realm in terms of what they know, and I feel wholeheartedly this patient needs that. But vitamin D super important, as well as vitamin B12, right? We talked about vitamin B12.
yeah, absolutely, it's a huge cofactor in the role of energy production in the body, and so
Yeah.
vitamin B12 is huge. Vitamin D as well as iron, and making sure that your red blood cells are getting to where they need to go. So supplements as well, just as a side note here, until the new year, our supplements at the office are at 20% off right
Yeah.
now. And
All of
so
them.
for those of you that are running low on your supplements, you might want to make a trip over to our office and take a look at some of the supplements that we have. They're all very high quality supplements with great absorption rates. And like I was talking about at the beginning of the conversation, magnesium is our magnesium product is excellent and does very well for our patients, especially those, like Dr. Roach was saying, with headaches and restless leg and sciatica.
Yeah.
So definitely worth a shot to go along with the chiropractic care. I find they work very well.
Yeah. And this is a good lecture from Dr. Brian Raid in terms of cellular energy. We talked about how to feed the cell. So if you can look at this episode, but also Dr. Brian Raid did a whole 1 hour on cellular energy. And in terms of vitamins, just FYI, we're probably going to carry 2 more brands next year. So again, we'll have a bigger library of supplements available. That'll be, pharmaceutical grade. We just found that some of the companies that we deal with right now, and it's the same with everybody, a lot of them are back ordered. So the more companies that we deal with, and again, we're not going to go down in quality. The 2 lines we're going to carry are going to be just as equally good. But when one is back ordered, we can probably order from another company. Yes.
Yeah, so the gift of health promotion is what we're doing right now in the practice. And so we are doing initial consultations for, I believe the price is somewhere around $37. And we're donating a portion of that, $24, to a charity. And this is until the new year as well. You get a complimentary treatment at the practice as well, if you choose to continue care.
Yeah.
So it's a great time of year. So if you want to give the gift of chiropractic, the gift of health to a family member, friend, if you yourself are looking to come into the practice and have an assessment done, this is what this season is all about. And it's a great time of year to get in because, like we said, the stress levels are a little bit higher in the office. And I know that people are feeling it and they're ready for, the holiday season or time off, however they're going to spend it. And so if you know someone who needs it, send them in.
Yeah. And this is typically a time where everybody's bucket is full and, water starts to spill over. And that's usually when people have problems. And the last thing you want to do is start the new year um, having the same goals as last year, but not following through, right? So if you've had enough of your lower back pain and headaches and whatever you're suffering from, it may be time to get professional help and have us, identify what's wrong, get a proper diagnosis. The biggest thing is that you need to be listened to so that somebody can have an idea of, what you're coming in with, what you've tried. Like, because 90% of what we're going to diagnose, we can probably diagnose from just the health history alone, right? And I'm sure you'll agree with that, Ben. Like the health history just drives the diagnosis. But unfortunately nowadays, like, these phone consultations and, the medical system is tapped out right now. Like it's very, very busy and it's frustrating. I don't want to blame anybody, but it is what it is, right? It is what it is. So we want to make sure that, we're going to listen to you, we're going to take care of you and come up with a proper diagnosis, proper treatment plan, and then move forward. And hopefully in a year from now, um, you will have made the same goals as the year before, but just followed through. And now you're so much more ahead. And guys, when you feel better, you want to do more. So now you start picking up different health habits. You're eating better, you're exercising. That has an impact on your heart health. It has an impact on your cholesterol. So now it's the ripple effect that started just from a visit to the chiropractor that made you feel better, gave you more function, and then, promoted other things that are helping you in various different ways. So again, like Ben said, it's $37 just to, to correct Ben, is $25 goes to, I believe, the portion of that $25 is going to a charity. So we're going to decide what that charity is prior to Christmas, and we're going to do that. So if you haven't done that yet, the visit doesn't have to be in December. You can book your appointment for January, obviously, because we're going to run out of time. But as long as you call in December, we're good to go. All right.
So one of the things too was that about the gift of health and about, sending people in, something that people are realizing right away is after having their spine adjusted is how well they feel. For those that have been coming for, a few weeks, how much better they feel just after that adjustment. One of the big wins that I had this week was a patient of mine who I just started with and was like, I haven't been able to feel for 5 years. And so I thought, we did the adjustment. I told her, after your first adjustment, you're usually a little bit sore. So I don't want you to, be alarmed by that. And so the next time that I saw her, she came in and she said, yeah, I definitely felt it. I felt sore, but she was like, I enjoyed that feeling because I hadn't been able to feel what it was like to have that type of soreness in a very long time.
Yeah.
She said it was a different type of soreness than the soreness that I was used to.
Yeah.
And so we just kept building and building and building. And we're into our second week together now. And every time that she comes in and it's her first stop of the day, this patient is like, I love coming here because I know every time that I leave, I'm going to feel something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was one of the greatest things that I had, or one of the greatest
Yeah.
things that I've encountered so far.
Yeah.
As like a doctor working in chiropractic field. And one of the things that I sort of was, because you always think about from this scientific lens, and everyone is always so, this way or that way. And this was just a time where the patient was telling me, just how much it really meant to them.
Yeah.
And so I was just so blown away, and definitely a huge win. And so if you know someone who could use this, who could use chiropractic care, you need to let them know about what's going on, because you never know just how far reaching the things that you do today can have on the people tomorrow. And Dr.
Yeah.
Roach talks about that. Just the little things that you're doing today can be so far reaching, and the impacts that you make on others tomorrow. that person can thank you years down the road. This person would have never known about chiropractic care had it not been for some of the people that told them about it.
Yeah. And I think people always downplay really what they're feeling to others because they don't want to burden others with their problems. So you think you know somebody because you think people are being honest with how they feel. And somebody says, I got back pain. And you're like, oh, he's got back pain. But people don't understand that it's not the pain, but it's what is preventing them from doing so. What they're probably not telling you is their back pain is not allowing them to play with their grandkids. They feel terrible about that. It's crushing them on the inside, but they're not sharing their part of the story. So sometimes you have no idea their back pain they're telling you they have, the impact that that's having truly on their life and their quality of life, right? So I always tell people don't keep chiropractic a secret because it's amazing as much as you guys see chiropractic offices, chiropractors see right now, and you know, I'll be nice, probably 7% of the population sees a chiropractor, 7%. So you figure 93% have no idea about chiropractic. And maybe they know about chiropractic, but it's just totally, it might not be close to what really you guys know because of your experience, right? So don't keep chiropractic a secret. If they're elsewhere, it doesn't matter. It's not about us. It's about helping people and wherever they're at. Like I got people that are, I said, oh, I'm moving to Florida. Can you find me a chiropractor in Florida? Absolutely. Because I don't want it to end after you leave Roach Chiropractic Center. Like I want chiropractic to become a lifestyle for you, just like Ben and I have been doing it. Just like, some of my patients that have been with me for 16 years, and they just know that they're better off with chiropractic care. And many of them, some of them can verbalize it very well. Some of them can verbalize it not so well, but they just know that they're better off with chiropractic care because they do remember how they were when they first started and the ripple effect of what chiropractic care has had on their life, right? Just sometimes this conversation, like we have a hump day conversation, like these hump day conversations happen in the clinic because sometimes people will say, you have supplements here. Like, what do you recommend? So we have mini hump day conversation when people come in, and that, sometimes people will start adding things in their lives outside of chiropractic care.
Absolutely. And having that ability to feel what it's like to have their joints moved, right? You're
Yeah.
only going to know what your joint, what your body is capable of when you get adjusted.
Yeah.
If not, you're just going to feel like what you feel like, what your nervous system is doing to you,
Yeah.
working against you, right? So,
and I'm sure you've had these patients, Dr. Boudreau, people, you adjust them and they're like, they take a deep breath and it's like, I've never been able to breathe this way. Like, because we're so compressed during the day, right? Like we're stressed, we're sitting, we're hunched over, and, multiply that over days and months and years. All of a sudden your sympathetic nervous system gets lit up because we do an adjustment in your middle back, and your brain all of a sudden gets feedback from the spine it hasn't had in a long time. And boom, all of a sudden you start the transition to health. And every day you come in, you're closer to your goal of having a better spine, better functioning nervous system, better everything. So, I tell people, like, it's not going to be one adjustment that's going to do it. It's a process that'll get you to a point where you can have a lifestyle that's congruent to your age. And so many people are like so much older than what their chronological age is. And they're like, they don't know where they got off the train, but they did get off the train at one point, and their life has just been, unraveling ever since. So we just got to, put one thing back into their life. One thing leads to another, right? So it's fantastic.
yeah, absolutely. One of the most tangible things that I can tell somebody about chiropractic care is that it's about the little changes, right? Because chiropractic care is a lifestyle, it's something that you work on. It's about fine tuning the stressors, right? We're not looking to shock the nervous system. I always tell patients this, every adjustment's a little bit different. The adjustment that I give to Jane is going to be different than the adjustment that I give to Joe, for sure.
Yeah.
Right. because a nervous system can only handle so much. And that's the key of being a chiropractor, is to understand just how much a person needs compared one patient to the
Yeah.
next, right? And so you're always working on, how can I maintain that adjustment? How can I maintain the structure and integrity of my spine and nervous system?
Yeah.
And that's where we come in to make those little changes. So it's never about a time limit. There's no time limit that you need to have it done by. That's the beauty of chiropractic care. That's the beauty of what we do. But it's about making the healthier choices.
And it doesn't matter what age you are, right? I just want to stress this. And people, probably next week I'm going to see a baby that was born yesterday. One of my patients, and I was adjusting her while she was pregnant. And the last day she came in, she was starting to have contractions that were like 5 minutes apart. I was like, oh, that's a little close for my comfort, but I'll give you the adjustment today and then we'll see how it goes. And she had her baby yesterday. But, at the other extreme, I had a patient, she's been with me for 3 years. Anyway, she fell not too long ago, and she's been struggling with her back, and finally we got it resolved, and she's back to where she was before. And I could see that she was really afraid. Like when she fell, her personality changed. She was like a bright light coming into the office, and then she become like, it was like a dimmer switch that had been turned back, and everything was, she wasn't smiling as much as before. And what she told me when she got better was she was afraid that her daughter was going to have her put into a home and out of her house because she could no longer take care of herself, because, she had a hard time, bathing. She had a hard time dressing herself up. And that day, she had tears in her eyes. She says, you gave me my what she called her life back in a way, because she says, now I'm able to stay in my house. That was the biggest thing. She was fearing to be taken out of her house because her daughter thought that she was going to be able to take care of her or of herself, right? So you never know, like, the impact you're going to have of the people that you see. And sometimes, I'll see people and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to be able to do with them, and they become, the most miraculous case that I'll see all year. So, you know never count anybody out, and the power of what chiropractic care can do for you or a loved one. So I think you guys by now understand that, we're big fans of chiropractic, and, we live it and see it and drink it and eat it every day. And we love doing what we're doing. And we love you guys. And we want to thank you for the wonderful year that you've given us. We sat in front of our computers every Wednesday night, and did, Hump Day. We got 51 episode, which is pretty cool. And, it would have been pretty boring, just you and I, Ben, and nobody, at the other end listening to us. So thank you so much. And if you guys love these Hump Days, make sure you give us a thumbs up and, a little heart here and there. And again, make sure in the comments section, just let us know what you loved about Hump Day Conversation. That would be very, very appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll kind of give us a little bit of guidance for next year.
Absolutely. Yeah. So again, guys, thank you so much, from the bottom of our hearts, and happy holidays as well, right? Because
Yeah.
this is our holiday episode. This is our year in review Hump Day Conversation. And again, we did 51 topics. You can find all of those episodes on our YouTube channel. You can find them as well on our Facebook page, but YouTube we just find is a lot more organized. So you can like our YouTube channel, you can like our Facebook channel. And that'll give you access to all of our sessions from this year. I'm sure you'll find something on there that you could watch over and over again.
To you. Yeah. And for those of you who participated in the Angel Tree, again, thank you for your generosity. We are going to turn around, as well as we said during this episode, for the gift of health. Any appointments in December, $25 is going to get donated to a charity. We're going to choose that. Make sure that we're contributing as well. So we look forward to your comments in this comment section, and we look forward to another phenomenal year with Dr. Ben Boudreau and I. And although Hump Day will have probably a little bit of a different spin, it'll still be great content, and I'm sure you will learn something from every episode that we will put out. We'll put out. So thank you so much. Have a great holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And we look forward to your continued support and loyalty to our clinic. We never take that for granted. And we look forward to seeing you every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This was Hump Day Conversation number 51. I'm Dr. Boudreau, and that is Dr. Clayton Roach from Roach Chiropractic Center in Bedford, Nova Scotia, Canada, signing off for the last time in 2021. We will see you all in 2022.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful night, and we will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.